Today is a Sabbath day. Let us talk about Genesis. The creation account in Genesis of the Bible has been the subject of debates for centuries. This is because while those who believe in the Bible say that the whole cosmos, including the earth and everything that is in it, was created in 7 days, archaeology and anthropology keep on pushing history back up to some 300,000 years to the past. Should there really be a controversy? There are 3 ways to resolve this. 1. Using the perspective analysis. 2. Doing the distant star approach. 3. Changing the translation of the Hebrew word HAYAH in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. We have learned from our previous video in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 that the word God was translated from the Hebrew word Elohim, which is plural. So we said the verse can be rendered in a slightly different way. The same is true in the case of this verse. The word God can be changed into the phrase the gods, and we can read it as, in the beginning the gods created the heaven and the earth. Now look at the phrase heaven and the earth. The word heaven, according to the Bible Concordance, can mean the sky or the abode of the stars. As it is used in this verse, heaven means the abode of the stars. That means when we say heaven and the earth, we mean the cosmos. And so it was written, and so it was done. The gods created the cosmos. Take note of the perspective. The point of view is outside the universal space-time frame of reference. The gods were in the spiritual realm when they created the cosmos. The gods were outside the cosmos when they created it and everything that is in it. The stars, the galaxies, the sun, the earth, and the moon. That includes our solar system. Let us continue moving into the solar system towards the earth, and from outside the atmosphere of the earth, we see the earth as described by the following verse. Genesis chapter 1 verse 2, and the earth was without form and void. This is how the earth looked like when seen outside the atmosphere. The earth has no beauty and it is empty and lifeless. Now our perspective has moved from outside the universe to the solar system within the yearly time frame of the earth's revolution around the sun. Now let us see where the next lines of this verse will lead us. The subsequent lines say, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So the verse leads us into the atmosphere, down to the surface of the water that cover the whole earth. The perspective is now from the surface of the waters, and when we look up to the sky, we see darkness. We can see nothing. There is no light. Remember, however, that the sun, the moon, and the stars are already there, but the light coming from them cannot reach the surface of the waters. Something is preventing the light from the sun, the moon, and the stars to shed light on the surface of the waters. So, in the verse that follows, Genesis chapter 1 verse 3, it says, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. The phrase let there be light does not mean the sun, the moon, and the stars were created at this point in time. They were already there in verse 1. The phrase let there be light means that God is commanding the sun, the moon, and the stars to be seen from the surface of the waters. God is commanding the sky to clear up. Take note of the perspective again. This time we are within the 24-hour time frame of the Earth's rotation about its axis. Day 1 has been started. Then Genesis chapter 1 verse 4 continues, saying, and God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. Yes, the other side of the earth is in darkness. Then Genesis chapter 1 verse 5 goes on by saying, and God called the light day, and darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. The first day ended in this verse. When did it start? The first day started when the Spirit of God moved on the face of the deep. That is in verse 2. What about verse 1? Verse 1 is outside the 24-hour day cycle. Verse 1 is about the creation of the cosmos, including the earth, long time ago, before the first day in Genesis started. What evidence do I have to support this? Let us take, for example, the Andromeda galaxy. This galaxy can be seen as a star from the Earth, and it is 2.5 million light years away. That means it takes 2.5 million years for the light from Andromeda to reach our eyes. That means the image that we are now seeing is 2.5 million years old. If the cosmos, including Andromeda and the Earth, were created on the first day in Genesis, which is just about 7,000 years ago, we would not be able to see Andromeda and most of the stars in the sky at night because their images would not have reached the Earth by now. So saying that the universe, including the Earth, was created on the first day in Genesis is totally baseless. In fact, the scripture, as we have just reviewed, does not support that idea. The cosmos and the earth already existed millions of years before verse 2 of Genesis chapter 1 happened. So let us go back to Genesis chapter 1 verse 2. If you read this verse, it gives an impression that the gods created the earth as without form and void. This is because of the English verb was. This verb was translated from the Hebrew verb HAYAH. So let us examine this verb using the Bible Concordance. So here we see was came from the Hebrew word HAYAH, which has several possible translations. To be, become, come to pass, exist, happen, fall out. Suppose we choose become. And let's go back to the verse and read it. Genesis chapter 1 verse 2. And the earth became without form and void. What we are saying here is that the earth was created conducive to life before it became without form and void. This means that something very bad, something cataclysmic like that of the deluge in Noah's time happened. And so the Spirit of God had to come and do rehabilitation, repairs. Now, this is another topic for another video presentation. Thank you for watching. See you in another Sabbath.